Hello, everybody, and welcome back. He is finally back. That's right, my exams are over, so I can get back to doing this. And it's European week 2. I know I missed out on week 1 and all the predictions. Week 1 was great. I will slightly cover what I thought of week 1 when I talk about each of the teams and the games. But um, let's get into it straight away. I'm dead excited to get back to talking about rugby, and let's go. So the first game of the Champions, this will only be Champions Cup, this one, I'll do a separate one on the challenge later, but the first game in the Champions Cup is Sale Sharks versus Racing. Sale Sharks obviously off the back to a big loss to Glasgow last week, Racing 92 beating Harlequins. Um, Fairly, you kind of expected both results, to be brutally honest with you. The Premiership sides, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I don't think they're of the quality to have as many as there are in the Champions Cup. 8 of the 10 Premiership teams are in the Champions Cup, and I think there are a few there just to make up numbers, and to be honest with you, at the minute, I think Sale's one of them. Racing is a team that can slip up in games like this, especially with it being away from home. It is in England and Manchester, so Sale Sharks are at home. However, I think Racing are just slightly better. They proved that by pretty convincingly beating the Harlequins last week. And Sale Sharks didn't really fire a shot against a pretty impressive Glasgow side. Next up, we have Castres at home to Munster, and I think it's death taxes, and these two playing in the Champions Cup is kind of a given. Um, yeah, Castres is another one of those teams that never seem to do well in the Champions Cup. I think it's mainly because they prioritise the top 14. Castres obviously getting thumped by Northampton last week. I think it was like 38-8 or something, so a massive loss for them away from home. Munster got a win against, was it Stade Francais Munster beat? 33-7, a massive win for Munster there as well. That was the game where Stade Francais got like 2 red cards or something, wasn't it? So a mental game there. I do expect Munster to win this. I mean, it is in France, which is always a tough place to go for any team that's not French. But Castres just don't really seem to bother with the European competitions, usually more with the league for them. Next up, we head to South Africa in a pretty strong, decent affair. URC finalists, the Vodacom Bulls, face Premiership champions Northampton Saints. What a game this could be. Bulls obviously off the back of a loss to Saracens. Northampton, as I mentioned before, beating Castres last week. So however, Loftus Versfield is a tough place to go. Only Glasgow can go and win. I'm joking there, well, ish. I think this will go to the Bulls. Northampton, aren't. I mean, chances are they'll send a weak team anyway. I've not seen any team lineups or news, anything yet, but chances are they'll probably send a weaker team anyway, which will just, strengthen the chances of a big Bulls win there. It is unfortunate that a lot of teams do send weaker sides to these South Africans, but you can kind of understand why. Especially if it's a team like Northampton who can probably cope with the other 2 or 3 games that they can afford to maybe slip up here. But I do think the Bulls will win this. Next up, we have Ulster against Bordeaux, and this could be quite a one-sided affair. Ulster obviously off the back of a thumping by reigning champions Toulouse. Bordeaux getting a big win against Leicester last week. It was like 42-28. Ulster shipping 50 points, 60 points even to Toulouse. I think this is only going to go one way. It is at the Kingspan, it is in Belfast, but I still think Bordeaux are one of there's kind of 4 standout teams at the minute, and I think Bordeaux are one of them. I think it's Toulouse, Leinster, Bordeaux, Glasgow. I think are the, if I had to pick the semi-finals now, it would be those 4 teams. Now, obviously, draws and stuff like that might get in the way of that, but just off pure strength of teams at the minute, those 4 would be my 4 semi-finalists. And So I think this will be quite a one-sided affair. Ulster obviously probably not prioritising Europe, more the league, as they are kind of going to be dragged into that top 8 fight. So yeah. Next up, we have Leinster at home to Clermont. Leinster obviously getting a big win against Bristol last week, with it being Jordy Barrett's debut, and what a debut he had. I believe he scored and assisted a try, so yeah, big debut for him. Clermont beating Benetton 28-0. Yeah, kind of expected there. It is at the Aviva as well, which just strengthens Leinster. Yeah, first home game for Jordy Barrett. I mean, yeah, this is going to be a big win for Leinster. I suspect Clermont are, yeah, going to struggle here. Not saying they don't have a chance, but yeah, they don't have a chance. Leinster all the way in that one. Next up, we have Leicester Tigers at home to the Sharks, the Hollywood Bet Sharks, South Africans. Leicester obviously losing last week to... There's a team I've already mentioned. My mind's gone blank. Bordeaux. The Sharks got a home win against Exeter. So, yeah. The Sharks are away from home. I do expect Leicester to take this, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I think the Sharks away from home. They are full of internationals. Again, I don't know if they'll send a full strength squad, because it is kind of a 1 week and done. I believe they're back in South Africa next week for the Christmas derbies. Yeah, so I don't know if they'll send all their internationals. If they do, they've practically got this Springbok team, which could be interesting, but at the minute, yeah, I'm going to have to side with Leicester here. Next up, we have La Rochelle against Bristol. La Rochelle getting their win last week against... Was it Bath La Rochelle beat? Yeah, 24-20. And Bristol obviously losing to Leinster. Oh, my computer's gone all funny. Yep. So, in France, yeah, this is going to go one way, isn't it? Bristol are one of these teams. Bristol seem to have a lot of money. They're signing a lot of high-profile players. You know, they got they're getting Tom Jordan out of Glasgow. They seem to be, you know, they've been sniffing around Finn Russell. They were sniffing around Duhan van der Merwe. You know, quite a few big profile who probably spent a lot of money. And they also bought that American lady. I can't even remember her name, but they bought her recently as well. Like, I don't know where the money's coming from. But yeah, I think La Rochelle is a step too far for them. Obviously, the two-time holders. Yeah. Next up, we've got Harlequins at home to Stormers. Harlequins off of the back of a loss to Racing. Stormers off of the back of a loss to Toulon. Went to South Africa and beat them. That was an interesting result. So yeah, a couple of teams looking for their first wins. It is at Twickenham Stoop in London, so home advantage to Quins. And Stormers just haven't been there this season. If you've been watching the URC, you'll know that Stormers just aren't firing. They've already shipped some pretty big losses this season away from home. And I suspect Harlequins, you know, they do have a little bit of attacking prowess with them, the likes of Marcus Smith and that. Be interested to see there. So I do expect Harlequins to win that game. Next up, we move to Sunday as Benetton host Bath. Obviously, both teams off the back of losses to French teams. Benetton chipping 28 points to 0 to Clermont. Bath losing to La Rochelle. Yeah, Bath will win this, I think. Benetton just, again, I don't know how much they'll prioritise Europe with the fact that they're kind of in a big fight in the URC for that final kind of top 8 mix. So, yeah, I suspect that Bath will win this, as they are sitting top of the Prem, so might be looking at maybe pushing for a European, a deep run into Europe as well. Next up, we've got Stade Francais against Saracens. Yeah, Stade Francais off the back of a loss to Munster. Saracens off the back of a win against the Bulls. This could be an interesting game, actually. Saracens probably are the favourites going into it. It is in France, though, which could make it interesting. However, if I had to back a side, it probably would be Saracens. As Stade Francais are probably going to give away about 6 red cards this game. So, yeah. I'm not even joking. It's a Pro D2 game, that one. But I do expect Saracens to win. Next up, we have Toulon at home to Glasgow, and what this could be contender for game of the weekend. What a game this could be! Bit of fight between these two teams, because obviously Glasgow knocked Toulon out of their pool last season, so it could be quite interesting. And then again, a repeat of the Challenge Cup final a couple of years ago, where Toulon managed to pip Glasgow to it. So yeah, this could get really interesting. This could be really interesting. As a Scot, I really do want to side with Glasgow, as I think that they are in a really good place. However, Toulon is a tough place to go. I'm going to have blind faith. You might call it arrogance, and I'm going to back the Warriors, because why the hell not? And then last, but actually pretty much least, you've got bottom of the Premiership against the top 14. Exeter at home to Toulouse. I think Toulouse are going to find 60 points again. Bottom of what I would regard as the weakest of the 3 leagues. And top of what I would consider the strongest. Yeah, this isn't going to be fun. Exeter haven't won a game outside of the the Prem Cup. And I believe it's only really been Championship teams they've faced. So yeah, this might not be that great for Exeter fans, but hey, you never know. I'd lead for some story if they did manage to pull it off. But there we go. There are my predictions for the Champions Cup. We have gone with Racing to beat Sale, Munster to beat Castres, Bulls to beat Northampton, Bordeaux to beat Ulster, Leinster to beat Clermont, Leicester to beat Sharks, La Rochelle to beat Bristol, Quins to beat Stormers, Bath to beat Benetton, Saracens to beat Stade Francais, Glasgow to beat Toulon, and Toulouse to beat Exeter. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I will have the Challenge Cup one out in a bit. Bit of talk about the lines as well. I might do one. I was thinking about waiting until after the Six Nations, but I might do an early one. We'll see how things go. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you later.